And so we share memories, and I know her grandson Corey would like to share. Thank you.
When I sought advice on giving this eulogy today, I received 3 general rules. Number 1, I was encouraged by my pastor to be broad and to not just focus on my personal experiences with Grandma. 2, the internet advised me to keep it short, that no one would listen past 3 minutes. And 3, my mom demanded I keep it classy and don't say bad words like poop. Well, I appreciate your guys' feedback. I think you know that eulogizing Grandma, I won't be able to follow those rules. When I asked people about Grandma, I was surprised at the consistency of the feedback I got. Almost unanimously, people recalled her epic storytelling, flamboyant adventurous tales told at bedtime or while washing her kids' hair, or her grandkids' hair, or neighbor kids' hair, seemingly anyone with hair, she told stories to at the kitchen counter. I hope you guys appreciate the incredible pressure of telling the story of the world's greatest storyteller. I am not half the storyteller she is, or entertainer, or presenter, but as her favorite and most handsome grandson, last night I wrote, and today will deliver, the greatest eulogy of all time. Begin eulogy. Perhaps the most difficult test the United States uses for recruiting its Special Forces soldiers has nothing to do with marksmanship or hand-to-hand combat. It's just a simple race. Young men are told to don full gear and report to the starting point early in the morning. Often sleep-deprived and hungry, these recruits are nervous. They don't know how long the course will be. They don't know over what terrain or what obstacles lie in their path. Some sprint forward, others pace themselves, conserving energy in hopes of a longer race. Bonnie and Helen's grandkids do it with ease every time, and basically everybody handles it in their own way. The physical exertion of the test is far less demanding than the mental strain. It's the pressure of not knowing the distance to the finish line that pushes many past their breaking point. It's the fear of the unknown. This is similar to what many families go through when a loved one is diagnosed with a terminal illness. They're told they're entering a fight and little else. And they don't know how long it will last, how painful, how stressful, how expensive, just overall how difficult it's going to be. Ambiguous tasks like this are often the best way to reveal a person's true character. I needed to speak today to commend my grandma, my grandpa, my mother, my uncle, and the rest of our family for facing our ambiguous test with courage, compassion, and of course, humor. I'm not going to idealize my grandma today. She was a great person, yeah, but she was far from perfect. She was a complainer. Somebody always ruined one of her holiday gatherings. Matter of fact, somebody broke the coffee pot in there, so somebody's responsible for that, for ruining her funeral, I guess. She could hold a grudge. Whenever there was a family disagreement, you better be sure to side with Grandma if you wanted good food. If she was happy, you got bacon, eggs, and French toast. If she was upset, you often got an empty bowl slammed in front of you with some old people cereal. She could be a little redundant. During Christmas, our family would always place secret bets on how many times she would say that she had the receipt if the clothes didn't fit. And everyone remembers her trademark reaction after each present was opened. Aww. Every time, no matter what it was. Sorry, I lost my place. I'm trying to make last-minute changes. She could be a gossip. Most of the time, she knew more about people's lives than they did. When I would ride along on their paper route in the mornings, she would share gossip about each house we would drop the paper off to. She lacked motor skills, only driving a car once, and I hear one time she tried to paddle a boat across a lake, but drug the anchor the entire way. So she wasn't perfect, but it was those imperfections and quirky tendencies that made her so unforgettable to everybody that she met. The spirited fight my grandma put up was honestly a little surprising. I didn't think anyone would describe her as a physically tough lady. However, I do recall a few years back stopping to visit my grandparents. I walked in the door and did what you always did when you went to Grandma's. You opened the fridge to check for food. Grandpa was watching TV, and I noticed a handwritten note on the counter. Grandma loved handwritten personal letters, and this letter read, "Went to doctors earlier. I'm severely ill. 105-degree temperature. I can't breathe. I'll be at bingo. Pick me up at 9:30. So maybe she was a little tougher than I thought. But if you look up tough in the dictionary, you'll see a picture of my grandpa. Judy Bauer, her husband, obviously. He's a man among men, a loving husband, skilled carpenter, and the second best fisherman in the family behind me. I'm told you and Grandma met at the lake. According to her, all the girls loved your washboard abs and bulging muscles, and then you could have had your pick of any of the girls there that day. But luckily for us, you picked little Judy Bauer. Because if I recall in your words, she was more buoyant than the others. You made the right choice. During a recent home improvement project at my mom's, me and my grandpa were putting in a hardwood floor. After about my second mismeasured cut, he really started to get on my case. A lot of I told you so's and should have done it my ways. I got flustered at the time, but I didn't really get it. I get it more now. Grandpa only does things one way, the right way. And I want you to know, Grandpa, that the enduring love and devoted commitment you showed your wife and our grandma, not only in her final days, but throughout your entire 59-year marriage, didn't go unnoticed by your grandsons. So her buoyancy may be what got your attention, but it's no doubt her intelligence and sense of humor were what kept you around. You were always impressed with her Jeopardy skills. I was always impressed with her ability to turn boring into fun. She was always the life of the party and one of the very few people I know that were capable and worthy of being the center of attention. My Uncle Jeff and my sister possess those same abilities and will likely be the ones responsible for filling Grandma's giant void as the family entertainer. Everyone knows of Grandma's intelligence, but many don't know about some of the times when us grandkids truly thought we witnessed her lose her mind. One day, after several helpings of ho-hos and whatever other snacks we could raid from Grandma's utility room, we got involved in some extra rowdy behavior. After several of the usual verbal warnings of wait till Grandpa gets home, she finally snapped. She screamed at us like a way we never heard before, and lined us up one by one on the couch and told us not to move. She left and quickly returned with the infamous shillelagh, which was an old wooden Irish club she used to use to scare us. One by one, she drug us away. I was the first in the execution line. She drug me away to the room hidden from the others. I was frozen in fear as she raised up the old wooden shillelagh, and right before she was ready to strike, she leaned in and said, "Pretend that I'm hitting you to scare the other kids," and started smacking the wall behind me. She would say there was very few situations in this life that can't be diffused with a little comedic ingenuity. Grandma asked that there be a call to action today. So in her honor, the very next time you find yourself in a stressful or angry situation, try adding some humor and laughter. She promises it will help. A little longer than 3 minutes, sorry. The general consensus was that there was never a dull, boring moment when Grandma was around. But I think it's important we remember her for more than her stories and her sense of humor. She was far more than that. The individual attention she gave each and every one of us is something we'll likely never encounter again. She was never too busy to listen, to teach, or to take care of someone. Ashley, Andy, and I, being raised by a single mom without the traditional father role, and we often had difficult schedules. The possibility of missed communication and misscheduling things left a lot of opportunities for broken hearts and disappointments. But whatever we missed out on having that, Grandma made up tenfold. I recall a time sitting on Grandma's porch for hours, waiting for my dad to pick me up. He got busy at work and wasn't able to make it, to take me to the arcade like he promised. To cheer me up, Grandma took me to Atz's and then to Southtown Mall and bought me a Power Ranger sword. Another time a few years back, I was pretty down on my luck. I lost my job, I was going to school, I was struggling, couldn't really even afford to eat. I went to visit my grandma, and she, without even really saying anything, she fed me, and knowing that I was too proud to ask, on the way out she gave me a hug, slipped a $50 bill in my pocket and said, "Be sure you eat good enough this week." She loved cooking and feeding for her family and friends. Not just them, but anybody that was hungry or looked hungry or she thought was too skinny, she would love to feed. Aunt Beth, Jamie, Emily, Mom, Ashley, you possess those same motherly instincts. So please make sure that none of us boys ever get too skinny without Grandma around. Mom, you were Grandma's best friend. But you two ladies, I tell you, I spent most of my childhood listening to you two bicker and complain about each other. But since I've learned that that's pretty par for the course in women friendships. So you likely are going to take this harder than anybody, and it's going to be the biggest transition, even more than anybody. So for those of you who don't know, Jennifer Ford is not only a rock star of a nurse, but she's the single most selfless human being I've ever met. I'll never forget the compassionate care you provided to your mother and best friend. Without you, Grandma wouldn't have had the opportunity to spend her final months at home. You took weeks off work without pay, staying up all night long with Grandpa, making sure she was comfortable. Sorry. Yeah. If this story has a hero, Mom, it's you. I wish there was a more elaborate way to commend you for always putting yourself second, especially for your family. I wish there was something else I could do, but if everybody could please give my mom a round of applause or something. I don't know how that works. That was probably out of place, I'm not sure. In one of our final conversations, Grandma indeed confirmed that I was her favorite grandchild. But she also told me she was worried about her legacy, about how people would remember her, and how sad she was that she wasn't able to leave us any money or valuable items when she passed. It was difficult for me to explain at the time to her, but I hope I did a good enough job. I smiled and told her that the greatest gift she could ever give me was the opportunity to earn it for myself. Nobody gets to choose how they start in this life, and we all know that real greatness is what you do with the hand you're dealt. And our family, me, Andy, Ashley, you guys all, we were lucky enough to be dealt, we were lucky enough to have Grandma as our dealer. She installed in us a restless imagination, an exhausting sense of adventure, and most importantly, the mindset that nothing in this life has to be boring. One of the most difficult things that this isn't on my paper, so if I mess up, don't blame me. But one of the most difficult things that ideas that came in my head is that my kids, her great grandkids will never get to meet her. They'll never get to experience what we did. They'll never have that advantage. Similar to what we did with her father. I never got to meet her father, Norman Clagus. So I promise you, Grandma, I'll keep your legacy alive as you kept your father's alive. And your legacy and legend will only grow bigger and better as time passes, just like your stories. So off you go, Grandma. Life will never be the same without you. We hope you enjoyed your amazing race around the world, and we hope you have fun dancing with the stars in heaven. Thank you.